In 1972, Boston area jazz rock psych band Guns and Butter released their eponymous singular album on the Cotillion label, and from it, the epic Sometimes. Oh, frenetic violin over a persistent bass line and a bit of flute creeping in. E. Yeah, that really like nervous feel. That and now that guitar coming in, giving us kind of like a few notes thin and just a foreboding feel overall. Oh yeah, that change in cadence, more of a gallop with the violin and the rhythm section going along with that, and then the sustain from the flute. And yeah, another change too, but staying within the kind of like the same basic key area, same. A lot of kind of like explosive elements so far, chordally, just. Oh, hear those soaring guitar bits, like at the start of each bar. Yeah, I mean that frenetic violin going higher and higher, becoming more pronounced. Yeah, going up and down, like now this descent pattern, like exploring kind of like the monochordal frenetic structure as much as they possibly can. Okay, we have quite the violinist on hand here. That is Lenny Federer, who appeared on nothing but this album and an album that came out a year beforehand by Pendulum and Company. Now that one I'm unfamiliar with. I'll have to bookmark that. Yeah. And Flute by Richard Ploss, who also plays saxophone on the album, and this is his only appearance. I guess so far there are some obvious comparisons to be made to Curved Air because of the violin, that overall frenetic feel. It's a Beautiful Day. Perhaps the Flock, although I'd have to double check. It's been a long time since I've played the Flock. Yeah, those basically. Now this has more of an American feel, this section right here. That kind of thin, sort of like folk rocky guitar tone.
Sometimes I feel good. Sometimes I have the answers.
And yet the vocalist does sound English. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think the vocalist is English. I do believe I just found that out actually. But vocals by Jeff Lyons, who this is his only appearance of the era, but it looks like if Discogs can be trusted on this, he reappeared about a decade later in a band called Angry Young Bees. They look to be kind of The name and the sleeve art on the releases, I'm assuming kind of pop punk.
Sun and moon are above me, warm earth under my feet. There are people that love me.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. That kind of.
Since I'm not too hungry, I feel good. I feel good. I feel good. I feel good.
I'm afraid the lyrics are not printing anywhere. I like that drum roll right there. Now we have more of an interplay between the guitar and bass right there. Hear that bass kind of like going up and down, like doing the ascending, descending amid that guitar notes, interjections, and the drumming being quiet. We're much more of kind of like a rock trio now, whereas the first few minutes, it kind of had that kind of like chamber psych folk kind of feel with the violin and flute constantly, taking center stage.
Sometimes I am lonely. Sometimes I am afraid.
I love the way that bass is just kind of like moving up really fluidly, and a bit of flute kind of subtly in the mix there.
Should I turn to you? Should I turn to you, my friend?
Syncopation, like emphasis like on the one, and
Should I turn to you, woman?
yeah, kind of a 2/4.
Even though I am afraid, I'm afraid, I'm afraid, I'm afraid.
I like the way they just keep on changing the cadence and the rhythmic structure. 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. Like, yeah, going from like emphasis on the ones to emphasis on the threes and. Another kind of like monochordal, like minor monochordal kind of dirgy moment, like in the rhythm side, like in the bass and while the violin, or the flute here. That bass move around like that, kind of like spiral around this like monochordal. Oh, I love those fills, those drum fills. Yeah, the guitar seems to be kind of like veering between major and minor here. Well, it's mostly been like G minor.
Come, my little laughing woman, we will teach you how to love. We will take your real feelings and replace them with false dreams.
We will take your feelings and debase them with false dreams. He's singing kind of like a demonic tone here.
Night will be the time you'll thrive and your nights will show your way. You will always be a prisoner of the sound that blows your head.
Bit of a madcap feel coming across here. I'm starting to think of like vocalists like I don't know, Arthur Brown or someone.
It's a laughing woman in your bright and flashy clothes. You must always be appealing, not too much but always right. Night will be the time you'll thrive and your nights will show your way. You will always be a prisoner of the sound that blows your head.
They're getting kind of theatrical there. Oh, I love how the flute's really like exploring its potential over that figure here. I love the interaction. I mean, they're being so creative. Each instrument's giving like a term to explore the full to see how much it can stretch out within that like monochordal like framework. And the drummer just playing this to the hilt. The drums are by Peter Tucker, who whose only credits are this album and supposedly, I don't know if that looks a bit too far apart to be the same person. A credit from like 26 years later.
My little laughing woman had a dream, but don't get her. Dance with us if you have courage. We are on the road you're on, which is blue as cold and flaming like that girls from you see.
Yeah, the lines are going by me so fast. I wish the lyrics were printed out somewhere.
Take your real feelings and replace them with false dreams.
That line I just quoted.
Will be the time you're thriving, your lights will show your way. You will always be a prisoner of the sound that blows your head.
You will always be a prisoner. That. Half step. Oh, they're kind of winding down a bit. It seems like we've been through like many variations of like maybe basically like one structure and a close and a very similar structure, let's say, and we've just kind of like gone between those two in different variations, different configurations, different. But I've lost count with how many like movements there have really been. It's kind of just gone like A, B's.
Sometimes I have the answers.
Well, what I was really about to say was it seems to have gone like A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, A6, A7, A8, rather than A, B, C, A, B, you know. I love that dun 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 dun. Yeah.
Sometimes I am lonely.
And who is giving us the guitar on here? Did I introduce him? Guitar Paul Cohen, and his only credit is this album and bass Peter Cohen. Oh, I'd imagine the two are related. His credits are this album and a 1976 album by one Annie McClune. I don't believe oh yeah, I've marked that one before. Yeah, haven't got around to hearing it though. Oh, looks like she covered some. Looks like an album largely consisting of covers by Christine McVie, Jimmy Cliff, Grace. Oh, yeah. Maybe a topic for some time.
Sometimes I am afraid. Should I turn to you, world? Should I turn to you, my friend? Should I turn to you, woman? Even though I am afraid.
Should I turn to you, woman, even though I am afraid? I'm afraid. That's what he's saying there. That's a tritone. D flat, D, G. Oh, so modulation gain faster, even more frenetic. Wow, getting more like kind of hellacious and. Those like two-note guitar solos and then those like descents, you know. Yeah, basically a two-note solo, and then like taking that and descending with it. Yeah, tritone. Dun 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 dun. I love the rising brisk intensity of this. You can tell they're climaxing. That was Guns and Butter with Sometimes from the 1972 album Guns and Butter, released on Cotillion. Band out of Boston with an English vocalist. And I guess the album was recorded at Eastern Sound Toronto, and they promptly broke up after this album. This great album, full of red hot tracks, as a matter of fact. All I can say is that I have put it in my top 10% albums for that year. I mean, it made my top 100 out of the more than 1,000 albums from 1972 that I've worked through, simulated, rated, evaluated. And other than that, I know very little about this band. It seems like none of them did anything else. It's just that they happened to put out an album kind of at the formative stages of where, on the U.S. scene, where the era of psychedelic folk rock was bleeding into the opening minutes of jazz rock, and just in that full moon video, I was saying how 1972 was kind of an early year for a band to be that developed in the at the crosshairs between jazz and rock, and this presents another kind of unique piece in the development. I mean, standing kind of at the crossroads between some of the late period psychedelic acid rock and the early onslaught of the more developed harmonic approach to jazz and symphonic rock in the U.S. and even like chamber rock and such. And also a landmark in the Boston scene too, when you consider like the development between the Boss tone sound of the late 60s and what was going on in that town, say, during the mid-70s. A very hard rock leaning city for the most part, but and this standing out quite on island unto itself. For more rubies and sapphires from the Guns and Butter album, see the directory of albums from 1972, over 1,040 strong currently. So if you go to page 4, 301 through 400, you will currently see the Guns and Butter at number 398. Yeah, that's where GU arrives in the alphabet, right between Guru and, Grupo de Alternativa and Grover Washington Jr. Yeah. Anyway, like and subscribe, follow me on social media, and share the video, and leave a comment if there are any observations you have about the track we just heard, the intensity, the interplay, the instrumentation, arrangements, the sectioning, between, all these kind of movements, very close together, very similar, yet each exploring like a different nuance or a different facet, a different possibility, And if you caught the lyrics, and if there was something about the plot that I didn't catch, leave a comment on that too. And until next time, this is Zaragon, the world's most air-traveled Trimax, signing off.